Mix vampires and mobsters. What more could you want? It's day 7 of 31 Days of Horror, and we are watching the movie Innocent Blood. We follow our vampire Marie, who is bored and hungry, so she sets out to feed and targets a mafia member. She also makes very cat-like growls when she feeds. Marie lives off 2 things: blood and sex, and she likes to remind us of this throughout the whole film. I was honestly surprised with how jam-packed this movie is of B-list actors. You'll be saying, I've seen that person, I know that person, I know that person. We also get a surprise guest actor in Angela Bassett, who plays the US attorney. This is when we learn that Joe is an undercover cop who's assigned to the mafia, but she's pulling him off the case after his friend's death. Which was interesting because I thought this was going to be a major plot point, but it happened so early in the movie that it didn't really matter at all. There are moments in this movie where she changes her eyes and she starts talking with this monstrous, modified voice, which was really hard to understand because she has an accent on top of it. While the eye contacts are actually pretty interesting how they made them glow like that, the red ones are really the only ones that look good. They have a few different kind of color contacts that they use, and they have different meanings of why they are that color and what the vampire is feeling, but sometimes they kind of look wonky. Marie messes up when she attacks the mafia boss and doesn't finish the job, which turns him into a vampire. So now Marie is mixed in with mafia's cops while Joe is trying to help her. I thought it was kind of odd that every single time we saw a TV or a screen in this movie, they're playing a vampire movie. Like, I get it the first time, like a haha little nod at like the vampire movie that we're watching, but it was literally every time. So what are my overall thoughts of this movie? It's directed by John Landis, who's mostly known for directing comedy movies. This movie is actually labeled as a horror comedy, but honestly I didn't find myself laughing like at all. I saw a lot of reviews saying that this movie was funny, and I don't think I even chuckled even once, and I like dark humor and all sorts of humor. It's honestly just more of a horror drama than anything. Also, for it being a movie about mobsters, it doesn't really go into that world much other than the very beginning. I'm also kind of confused by the title of the film. Innocent Blood just doesn't really fit the vibe of the film. I think if they did like blood connections, that might have worked a little bit better. We did get some pretty cool practical effects in this movie though. There is a scene where a vampire dies by sunlight, and that was a cool and interesting scene. It's also decently bloody as well for a vampire flick. The story though is kind of weak. We spent a lot of time on Sal running around trying to figure out his vampire stuff and him trying to slowly change his men into vampires as well, while Maria is, you know, chasing him, trying to stop him. Speaking of which, they never really refer to anybody in this film as a vampire. I mean, they call her a monster, but that's pretty much it. This movie also forgets its own rules and the powers that they give them from time to time, and it was kind of annoying, to be honest. For an almost 2-hour runtime, I was honestly hoping for a little bit more mafia or crime element to the story. Like maybe them taking on a rival gang with their newfound powers, but that never happens. For a vampire flick, it was pretty decent, but it had me wanting more. On a scare meter, this gets a 0 out of 10. On a blood meter, this gets a 5 out of 10. And this is why Innocent Blood gets a 6 out of 10. If you guys like this review, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more, hit that follow button. And as always, thanks for watching.